What's the worst cheating story you've ever heard? Before we start with the first story, please hit a subscribe and ring the notification bell to stay updated with us. Story 1. I went to the wedding of my then boyfriend's friend. Easily the best wedding I've ever been to. Absolutely a smash. The bride was lead singer in a band, and they performed. Just a great party all around. People had a great time, and the couple seemed so happy. The next day, I'm at brunch with the wedding party, sans married couple, and everyone's phone buzzes. The best man gets up and takes a call. The mood absolutely falls. Everyone gets quiet. I asked my BF what's going on. Apparently, the bride had been cheating on him the entire relationship with the drummer in her band, who performed at the wedding. She told him that morning. Immediate divorce. We all sat there, and one of the groomsmen goes, "We can never tell him how great his wedding was." Story 2. Couple was together for 8 years, both working at sea on the same ship for 8 to 11 week trips. Bought the house and heading towards marriage, kids, etc., etc. Start a 11-week trip and noticed something wasn't right. Girl had f***ed another crew member on the trip off and wanted to be with them. Guy had to watch the start of the new relationship while on a floating prison, and due to his qualifications couldn't leave the source. Me. I am that guy. Story 3. My friend was partying with her boyfriend and some other people. Her boyfriend f***ed another girl on the same couch as her while she was passed out. She woke up part of the way through it and just didn't know what to do. Story 4. One of my wife's cousins died of cancer after a 30-year marriage. When her husband was clearing out her home office, he found a box with diaries, receipts, letters, hotel keys, etc., detailing the hundreds of times she cheated on him with random guys throughout their whole marriage, going so far as to take their daughters to meetups and gaslighting them about what was happening. Story 5. My mom told me this story about one of my dad's old colleagues. She was an acquaintance of the wife. They'd been married for years. Older couple. He cheated on her with an 18-year-old. In a fit of rage, she bought a new car, new clothes, and threw a few enormous parties. When the anger passed, she became severely depressed and hung herself. He found her in the entrance of their house. They had kids too, but I think they were in their early 20s by then. Story 6. Former colleague of mine in his mid-30s was living with his long-term girlfriend, and they had been shopping for engagement rings. He comes to work one day, and early afternoon receives a text from her telling him she's seeing someone else, has packed up the house and moved out to live with the other guy. No apology, no further explanation. She then immediately blocked him and left him to deal with the rent and other bills on his own. He was a nice guy. It was horrendous to see that happen to him. He's now happily married. To someone else, of course. Story 7. Couple sitting across from me at a bar in Key West. She was his best friend's former wife. They started hooking up and best friend found out the affair. Came home after church once and blew his head off. Once the dust was settled, she married her dead husband's best friend, who she had been fucking causing the suicide. They were both insanely happy and even partially laughed when telling me the story. Alcohol makes people just spill everything. Story 8. I ran into my ex-wife's mother at a bar with some guy like 10 years after we separated. Said hi and disappeared quickly. 6 months later, she is in the local paper. Apparently, the guy she was with was her paralyzed husband's brother that she was fucking. She hung herself in jail after being arrested for trying to hire a hitman. Copped. Kill her husband. I was so relieved to have gotten away from that craziness and surprised my ex didn't as her to make it a 2-for-1 special with me thrown in to boot. Story 9. My dad cheated on my mom with my best friend's mom, who was also married. I was a teenager at the time, and unfortunately found out before my mom did. Guess who had to tell her? My dad told me I owed it to him to not say anything. The massive amount of guilt I dealt with for outing him and destroying my mom's life haunted me for years. Story 10. I know someone who regularly cheated on their out-of-town girlfriend. I guess he was going to cut all that out when she finished her advanced degree program out of state. She moved to his state, and they got an apartment together. While in the shower, his phone is buzzing with messages. She finds the girl's username sending all these messages and decides to send her a direct message from her own account, and the other girl was completely honest with her. I know who you are. I hook up with your BF all the time, including last weekend at your new apartment in your bed, etc., etc. Story 11. Ex-partner let me raise her kid for 4 years while cheating on me with his father the whole time. Let me propose, to which she said yes. Then one night after me paying up his month of private nursery fees and putting him to bed, I came through to her telling me to leave, or she'd call the police and tell them I had broken into the house and never to contact them again. They've bought a house together now and are seemingly doing well, while I still haven't fully recovered and don't know my own self-worth. That's a shortened version of events. Story 12. Not so much cheating, but this guy I personally knew when I was running around in the streets had a harem of about 5 women, all older, all with their own homes, either cheating on their husbands with him or divorced. That's not the worst part, though. He admitted to me that he would purposely seek out oldish, lonely women, get them hooked on meth, like he was, specifically, so he'd have these women rely on him for their drugs, and he'd have a bed to fall into every night, could ask them for money whenever he needed it. He was willfully and knowingly getting these middle-upper-class women, with no real experience with drugs or the street life, addicted to meth little by little so he could use them for his personal gain. That was his hustle. That was his job. It's literally what he devoted his life to doing. When he first told me, it blew my mind that I was talking to a bona fide psychopath. I'd like to say that I cut all contact with him after that, but at the time, he was my dealer, so I didn't. Dude would tell me stories of how he had these chicks wrapped around his finger, how he just got $500 from this one chick because he fed her some story about his rent. And tomorrow, he was getting $400 from the next one because he fed her the same story. And the night after that, he had to go sleep with number 3 because her husband wouldn't be there. He juggled them like it was a business, because to him, it was crazy as hell. Story 13. Not me, but my best friend. He was madly in love with a woman and wanted to marry her. They lived together and were very happy. As a birthday gift, she bought him a plane ticket so he could fly out to see me. While he was with me, he would talk to her every so often. Every time he got off the phone with her, he would tell me something just wasn't right. His spidey sense was tingling. He came home to find evidence that she had someone over at their place. She initially denied it, but eventually she admitted to having a male coworker in the house. Her buying the ticket was just a way for her to have the place to herself for a 3-day sex romp. My buddy was devastated and heartbroken. It took him years to recover. Edit. This was many years ago. My buddy is doing just fine and is in a happy, healthy relationship. The woman in the story, not so much. She bottomed out in life. Drugs and alcohol eventually took over. Last I heard, she was quasi-homeless and had to shack up with a much older, controlling man just so she could have a place to sleep. Everyone got what they deserved in the end. Story 14. I was an IT contractor for the Department of Defense, NMCI for those curious. We got a keyword alert on an email conversation. Then more, same folks involved. So we went and checked out the email, and the email thread turns out it was a senior chief who was talking to nearly a half-dozen women under his chain of command that he was having affairs with, multiples of which were pregnant with his children. He, of course, was married, having 4 kids with his wife. What started out with a "hey, you're not supposed to discuss that" on regular email investigation turned into a massive scandal, wrecking multiple marriages and turned into a whole lot of meetings with his very angry CEO. Don't do stupid shit on company email. And really don't do stupid shit on DoD servers. Story 15. My bio mom's best friend was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. We moved her husband, and her daughter in. My mom slept with her husband and got pregnant, so they put her in a nursing home to die all alone, just so they wouldn't have to deal with the consequences. She was hours away as well, so her daughter, who was 10 at the time, was unable to visit her. She died alone because she went to her best friend for help. I don't speak to bio mom anymore. After her friend's death, she showed off her brand new car with the life insurance money. She married her husband. At the time, her dead best friend also had a 19-year-old daughter who was homeless with a toddler. I felt so fucking sick sitting in the car listening to her brag about how nice it was and how she finally got the car she deserved. Some people are disgusting. Edit to add. More backstop that just makes this story absolutely vile. My bio mom is a counselor, and the way she even met this best friend of hers was through the daughter who was 19 with a toddler. They met when said daughter was 13. My bio mom was her caseworker for mental health support. She crossed a huge professional boundary doing this. On top of that, she came into this girl's life to help her and ended up hurting her so fucking badly. Her mom who passed wasn't the only victim here. My bio mom was also married. There's other children involved, etc. So many people were hurt by this. It's truly sickening. TBH. During my bio mom's pregnancy, her mom actually also got stage 4 lung cancer. She died within 7 weeks and never met bio mom's baby. I kind of feel like it was her fault in a sense. I truly believe karma can and will get you through loved ones. Alright folks, that's a wrap. If you like more of this, please hit a like button and subscribe to the channel. You can also share your thoughts in the comment below. I'll see you in the next video.